One of the interesting use cases I found for the histogram view is this small USB isolator here. It's powered by one of the analog devices USB isolators together with an isolated voltage converter from 5V to 5V. So I can power this device here from the upstream. Currently that's just powered by my lab power supply, and it will then power the device that you connect here to the isolated side, so it doesn't need to provide power on its own. For example, I will probably use that for the digital and DMM shield to provide really isolated measurements. So when we connect power here, we see, okay, we have 5V. Ideally we switch to a fixed 6V range, use a bit faster measurement, maybe even do it really fast. And when we now switch to the histogram view, what you can see here happening is that sooner or later, right now it looks like a bell-shaped curve, but what you can see sometimes is that you actually get two peaks here. So there's one peak here to the left side, and there is another one coming up on the right hand side here. Now it's getting visible here, and I think this is probably an artifact of the regulation loop inside of this power converter, where you have a high frequency switching and then you have a lower frequency regulation, which means that you have kind of an mostly high and mostly low voltage, and now you can actually see it here that it's not bell-shaped anymore, but it's flat in a certain range. So probably it's regulating between this lower voltage and this higher voltage, and then it transitions between the two, and then you keep these here. And that's something that you probably, when you just look at the values, you will not really recognize. You will see, yeah, it's transitioning between 4.996 and 4.997 volts. That's the range, but when you look at the histogram, you actually see that you have such an interesting behavior, and that's somewhere where you then would use the oscilloscope and check, yeah, okay, how does it actually behave in a real world scenario. I also can connect a small load resistor, and then we will see that the automatic binning here moves all the existing measurements far to the right, because now the new value is like 40 millivolts lower than the original one, and now we get much more values here. But we can clear the readings and start again, and in the end probably we'll see a similar behavior here with the readings. But then, yeah, okay, here you see you probably get another peak over here. So that's something where the regulation of this power converter here does interesting things. So yeah, that's a nice use case. I think usually you would use it with checking like a frequency normal and see how does it behave, stability of your converters, of your voltage randomness. But I also find it nice to use it in a more real world scenario. Okay, just when I move it around, that's enough to change the voltages here to something completely different.